We are all built by our life stories, but sometimes the stories we tell ourselves aren't true, kind, or accurate. With the right mindset, we can transform them into stories that inspire and uplift, especially in tough times. At StoryBilt, we uncover the strength and beauty that can arise from adversity. Join us as we explore the lives of guests from all walks of life. Discover why the world is StoryBilt.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. This is Tyler Spendlove. We figured out a name for the podcast. It's StoryBilt because stories build our lives. And so the StoryBilt podcast. And today I've got a very special guest, Rosalin Kyere Nartey. She's on the line today. And good night. We've got an awesome bio for you guys. She's done quite a bit for people with dyslexia awareness. And I'm going to go through this real quick. So she's a highly accomplished leader with a proven track record of developing, implementing, and managing innovative solutions and services in the education, hospitality, and tourism industry. She's got over 15 years of experience, and she has led successful projects in Africa and around the world. And as a dyslexia advocate, she's passionate about promoting awareness and advocating for the rights of dyslexic individuals, which is amazing. She herself is dyslexic and started reading and writing at the age of 17, which I'm really excited to dive into that whole process and experience. Which gives her a unique perspective and deep understanding of the challenges faced by dyslexic learners. She holds an MSc in International Hospitality Management from the Swiss Hotel Management School in Switzerland, and a bachelor's degree in Hospitality and Tourism Management from GIMPA, if I'm saying that right. All right. And she's also a Walt Disney Hospitality Leadership Fellow and has worked as a guest experience manager at Walt Disney World in the USA. And she's currently serving as the lead consultant at IQ Mundo, a hospitality and education consultant firm. And she also represents the Swiss Education Group as the country representative for Ghana, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. In addition, she is the founding curator of the Dodawa Hub of the Global Shapers community and the founder of Africa Dyslexia Organisation. Her diverse background and expertise make her a valuable asset to any organization seeking innovative solutions in the education, hospitality, and tourism industry. And her advocacy work for dyslexia awareness and education highlights her commitment to creating a more inclusive and equitable world for all learners. Boom. Rosalin, so excited to have you on. This is where I'm getting better and better at this thing, but I need music. I need da-da, like a cha.
Yes.
So right there for you, because that's absolutely phenomenal. I feel like, that's a resume, that's a bio that is hard earned, hard won, and so much experience that you've had on your end. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about this. And so let's start.
Let's do it. No, absolutely. So typically, with this, we want to know what the life of Rosalin has been like, right? So starting as a young girl, growing up, where'd you grow up? Where are you from? Family background, sisters, brothers, parents, and then obviously we want to understand a little bit about your experience with dyslexia growing up. So maybe that's a lot that I just threw at you, but have at it.
Thank you so much. So, like you rightly mentioned, my name Rosalin A is my name, and I'm from Ghana, located in West Africa. And I am from the eastern part of Ghana. So I'm from, we are 5 siblings, and I think my mom and my dad. So this is how life was when growing up. But I'm the eldest of all the siblings. And so that means there is a lot of responsibility on me, as in you being a role model in the house and to everybody around you, because you are the oldest. But for me, it wasn't like that. actually being in that position was a lot of pressure for me as a young person, because now, okay, you are the big sister, but then you go to school and you don't know anything. You're considered like lazy, you look considered as damp, and then the results. So in Ghana here, you go to school at the end of the semester, you write
Mhm.
exams, and then they produce you like a result slip, and you have to take that home. So imagine as the eldest bringing my home, and probably I'm the last of the class, and this was the school that you will find about 60 to 70 people in class. And so if I'm the last, or the last but one.
Wow. 60 to 70 people in one class. That's not like you're okay. Wow. Yeah,
So
yeah,
so you can imagine, like, okay, so you actually carried this whole number on you. And I went through this for a long time. And
yeah. Mm.
I remember when I got to the age of 13, I was so fed up, because it was like everything I do was matched to my performance in school. So
Mm.
even when I am expressing my opinion on something in the house, they would tell me like, "Oh, this is not what we mean. We just want you to concentrate and learn." If in school I express my opinion on something unrelating to learning, it's like, we just want you to learn. So everything was like about, for me, learning and passing the exams. And that was like
Mm.
the story everybody. So you go to the house is the same, you come to school is the same. Uh in school there was something we do as dictation, and dictation is where the teacher, all of you will stand as a class, and then the teacher will come and mention a word, for example, spell consultant. And when you get it wrong, you receive a cane. So imagine if the teacher goes around for like 5 times, that means I will end up receiving a cane. A small
Hold
word.
what do you hold on. A cane
Yeah,
like not a candy cane.
like stick, like using a stick to cane somebody to feel pain.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Interesting. That's wow. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
So I
All
will
right.
receive, like, they will go like 5 rounds, and this
Okay.
dictation happens. It was dictation and mental. Mental is mathematics. So for me, I haven't been diagnosed for dyscalculia yet, but I know that the day I do have assessment for dyscalculia, I probably will come out with a struggle with mathematics. And so mathematics was also another thing. So every week we have the dictation, and then we have the mathematics in different days. So that means
Mm.
every week I will be cane. And this
Oh
was,
my gosh.
yeah, and it wasn't just me, but it was quite a lot of us, because a couple of us were in the same bracket, so
Yeah.
we will be receiving cane. A small word I remember so were very much is happy, like spell happy, happy, very easy, but I couldn't spell it. No matter how my learned friends would teach me how to spell that word, I never was able to spell it. And I would be receiving canes for it. So this continued. And at the age of 13, I got so fed up. And one time, I think I just wrote something. I don't really know what I was writing, but according to my dad, he made meaning as to what I wrote was like, maybe I am fed up and I'm gone. So
Mm.
I left home. I took money from my aunts, and I left the city or the town that we were, and traveled all the way to the capital. I didn't tell anybody where I was. And for 2 weeks, they didn't know where I was.
Wow. And you were 13?
And I was 13. Yeah.
Whoa. Oh my
So
gosh.
they didn't know where I was. Apparently, they had to report to the police for them to start searching me and all that. So, but what saved me was I had a phone number of one of my teachers. So what happened was I went to a payphone and I called the teacher just to find out like what is happening back home. And so
Yeah.
he had heard about it and he was like, um, where are you? And I said, I don't know. I'm not going to tell you where I am. He said, no, tell me where you are. I said, no. Then I hanged up the call. But he was a very smart teacher. So what he did was he immediately called back to the payphone and said, the person that just put the phone down, where is she? Luckily for
Ooh.
me, it was the payphone vendor was just in front of the house that I
Okay.
was looking at. And so she was like, oh no, this lady, she's been here for like 2 weeks now, and she's just by the house that I am. So he took the location, told my parents, and they traveled all the way to the capital and came for me and well, we are very sorry, come back home.
No
And so
way.
I
My
went back
gosh,
home.
Rosalind, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm sharing this part
Yeah.
because I feel it's important that I mean, there is a lot of research that has indicated that a lot of people, a lot of dyslexic people, learners with challenges, going through issues like this, and sometimes they get fed up and they leave home. And
Hmm.
if they leave home and care is not taken, they will join bad groups. And what happens with the next thing is getting themselves involved in something and they ending up in prison
Mm.
or they getting themselves hurt and being killed. So it is very important as parents to be mindful of the sort of words you say to your children, even in the school, the sort of words you say to children. Because for me, every words that was said to me growing up, I still remember them and I still remember the people who said it. I've never
Yeah.
forgotten about it. For me,
Yeah.
I feel like it's like a scar that is
Mm-hmm.
like never leaving me. That's once in a while, it still play back to me. So be very mindful of what you tell your children because it damages them a lot. I didn't know at that time it was damaging because I was a teenager. I didn't
Yeah.
really understand, but knowing what I know now, I see the danger that I was in, the danger that the people around me were creating for me. And so that's
Hmm.
why I'm sharing this part. So they took me back home and then I went to the boarding house. So I changed the school and went to a boarding school and I stayed in this boarding school till I finished the junior high school uh program. But I was almost turning 18 when I finished junior high school. However, it shouldn't be like that. It should
Hmm.
rather be you turning 18, you are finishing senior high school. But because of
Mm.
my poor performance, I was repeated severally. So
Mm.
almost at 18, I was now trying to find my way out of junior high. And one notable thing that happened in this private school that I was they told my parent that they couldn't register me as part of their candidates for the exams because I will taint their results because it was
Hmm.
a very good performing school, and so they are afraid they will not allow me to be part of their candidates. It was really sad.
Hmm.
So they advised if my parents are concerned that I'm outgrowing the junior high school, then they should take me to a village to go and register for their particular exams. It's a national exams and sit for it. So that's what my parents did. They took me to a village, we registered, and then I wrote the exam. So what was so funny in this moment was I was going to the school. We had a different school uniform that we were wearing. These are people I have been in class with all the time for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and they registered me with a different school who was a different uniform that I've never had this uniform before. And in the week of the exams, I had to wear this new uniform and walk to that place to go and write my exams. Just imagine, Tyler, like when you change school and you're a newcomer it is hard for you to even get yourself integrated in your
Yeah.
new environment. But for me, as a teenager, 17, turning 18, during exams time, you asked me to go and sit in a room full of people I've never met in my life to write.
Hmm.
And they questioning like, who is she? Where did she come from? And
Yeah.
all so many things were going. I hated that moment of my life.
Wow.
But that's what happened, and I went through it, finished that exams, and it's true. When it came, I had failed.
Were you surprised?
No, I wasn't. Because until then, I remember writing the exams, but there were most of the things on the paper I couldn't pronounce. So how do you expect me to
Yeah.
pass? I just had to do it because I was growing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and this is to graduate
Junior high
junior,
school, I could go
junior
to high
high
school.
to go to
Yeah.
high. So, how old, Rosalind, were all the other kids that were around you in that new area, in that
So
village? How old were they? Were the same age?
this will be like 14, 15. Because
Gotcha.
yeah, by 14 you are getting ready to write this exams. Later is by 15 you are out, and then you go to senior high school, like high school, and then
Mm-hmm.
high school is 3 years. So then you are 18, and then you go to university or college. So this is how it
Jeez.
works.
So
Yes,
you were like technically around like 3 years behind.
exactly.
Gotcha.
I was
Okay.
I was 2 years behind, so I
So you're
failed.
walking into this village doing these exams, and there's all these 14-year-old kids around you. Like, Who's this almost grown woman doing
Yes.
in this classroom? This high school student, and you take the exam. It's not what you wanted it to be, as far as the results.
Well,
And so what do you do from there? What do you do from there?
Well, from there, when I failed, a lot of suggestions came on the table. Was somewhere to go learn a trade, or
Mm,
some people suggested learn hairstyling, go learn how to sew. It's not like today when you go to like um, a hairstyling school or a fashion school, and it's so glamorous and all that. It's not like today. Before, if in Ghana you tell somebody take your child to go study hairstyling, it's like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? But
yeah.
this was what was on the table because everybody felt it would be a waste of time to go to school. And it's not just a waste of time to go to school. The grade I got could not get me to go to high school.
So there literally was like no option. It was like, all right, Rosalind's not going to high school, so let's get her
Yeah,
doing some hair or sew or whatever, right?
exactly.
Wow,
So that's what
that is
happened. But then,
crazy.
yeah,
Well,
it was crazy.
yeah, that sounds absolutely wild. I got a few questions then, because man, I mean, I feel like we could chat for probably 4 hours on this thing, but because I got questions. So you're growing up, you're getting caned first of all, which is crazy. Obviously, so like in the United States, right? Like I'm out of Utah. I grew up in Utah, a little bit in a state called Idaho, and I mean I got kicked a couple times in the backside, and the teachers got in big trouble because that's like you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
I remember I got slapped in the back of the head once from a teacher, but that was about it. But you're sitting there, you're getting caned on the hand or the arm
Or your
every
leg.
week,
Yeah.
several times a day, several times a week, or on the leg, and you're being punished because you can't spell the word happy. Right, like say happy. I can't even imagine that. It's like, hey, spell happy please.
Yeah. And then
No,
another
and then how can you say that word and like not be happy either, you know what I mean?
happy. Yeah. And then one word was photosynthesis, which that word up to date I still can't spell photosynthesis. Photosynthesis.
Photos. Yeah. Maybe,
oh my
yeah, not
goodness.
me either. That's crazy.
It
So,
pained me.
so man, so you're feeling pain. You're feeling this pain, and it's supposed to help you get better. Um, you're going through this whole process. You're growing up, and then you're like, I'm out. I'm out of here. You take some of your aunt's money. You bounce to the city. You're hanging out for a few weeks, just having a good old time as a
I
13-year-old
was
girl.
happy.
That is awesome. Doing whatever you wanted, eating whatever you wanted,
Yeah.
sleeping in. Man. And I mean, I feel like there's probably a ton of stories just from that experience, right? Those few weeks. Like, obviously, you're a very determined individual. You're very strong. And I feel like you're pretty fearless. And then just being here sitting with you, like you're as happy as can be, however you want to spell it. HAPI, HAPPEEE, whatever. You're a happy person, which is awesome. So I think there's a lot to learn from that, for me and for the listeners, as far as like, I mean, you had mentioned it, right? That so many people with dyslexia, if it's not treated, or if they're not taken care of or looked out for and just kind of guided at a young age, that can turn into trouble, right? Like they can do a lot of bad things. They can go to prison. They can die, right? Like you had mentioned. And so there's kind of two things I want to touch on, and maybe this is kind of further down in the episode today, but I want to know, like, in Africa, what is it like, as far as dyslexia versus kind of everywhere else in the world, as far as kind of the understanding, the awareness, if you have any stats and data around that, like as well. And maybe, I did hear something like in England, they did a big old test or study, and it was like 65% of people in the prison system out there are dyslexic. So, having that type of information is interesting, but obviously sticking to the life of Rosalin first. How did were you just always a positive person and like a strong, like, you know what I mean? Because this whole time you're talking about how you just couldn't spell, you were being punished left and right, you're running away, but like you and your personality, who you were, like, what was that? Was it more of a mentality like, you're just not going to hurt me? Like, no matter how much you tell me I'm stupid or I'm dumb or whatever, like, what is that like?
For me, I've been a positive child or since childhood. I'm a very bubbly person. I smile a lot. And that's why people really didn't also understand, because it felt like I had a double personality. Like in the classroom, the personality that is very
Yeah.
muted, and then outside the
Uh,
classroom, oh my goodness, it's like I'm in my free world. And so people couldn't really match to who are you? You different personality. But I've always been positive, but it was hard. Certain times
yeah.
my weird thoughts, and you know how we daydream and overthink. In my weird thoughts, I'll be thinking, oh my goodness, if I run away, and running away was a lot, it was occurring a lot in my mind. It's like, if I run away and go far, far away into a deep forest and go and build a shelter for myself, I would just stay there until I get old and die. Or maybe I run far away, go to a place where there is an ocean and go and create my own home there. Maybe I'll meet somebody there, we marry, and then we live our life. Certain weird thoughts like this were coming to my mind.
Yeah.
But I still kept on, because I had also a father who was very, very strong on me to see what I can do. And so when I failed the BC and everybody was suggesting stuff, he was also disappointed in me. All right, but there was someone who came along the way. His name is
Mm.
Evans, and Evans was just a year older than me, like a few months older than me, about 10 months older than me. And he was my senior at school. So he was the one who came along and was like, I've heard what is going on. Everybody's saying you should go and do this, go and do that, go and do this. but I think you should try and go back to school. And I said, how am I going to go back to school? It's impossible. I failed. I'm not going to get entrance to any high school. And he said, well, you can go to a vocational school instead of a high school. And I said, okay, can you tell me more? So he was like, I know you. You love to cook. You love to entertain. My aunts used to travel a lot to Ivory Coast. So most of the time I was at home alone. So he said, you love to cook. You love to entertain us. And I see that your natural talent is cooking. So why don't you go to a culinary school? And I was like, really?
Hmm.
He said, yes, then you can become a chef. And I said, okay, so how do I do that? So this guy was the one who actually helped me to buy the prospectus of the school and fill the form and got the admission before I took it to my dad and said, well, I want to go to a culinary school. My father was a bit hesitant because
Wow.
he felt like, oh my God, I'm going to waste another money again because culinary school is quite expensive. You always cooking, you always doing practicals. And he said, I'm going to give you one more chance. And that would be it for your life. And I said, okay, that's fair. So he took
Yeah.
me to this school, this culinary school here in Ghana. And I remember the first day we got there, he was like, he told the proprietress, I'm bringing my daughter Rosa here. I don't have any expectation for her, but please just let her walk through the school and let her finish her 3 years program. And so my dad said this, and immediately created a bad impression in the minds of the teachers around me because I was then
I have
also
no
a troublesome
expectations for
child.
her. Oh no.
Exactly.
You're like, thanks, Dad.
So yeah,
Wow.
thanks, Dad, and kind of told them some of the things I do back home, meaning you're a troublesome child. And so they had already precondition their mind around me. But everything works together for our own good. That was the environment I
Mm.
actually needed. And I needed somebody like Evans also in my life. So Evans became like a mentor, a peer mentor to me, who was always
Mhm.
calling my school to check up what I'm doing and what is going on. And I started becoming very interested in learning because I enjoyed learning by doing practicals, cooking, trying to create this whole new recipes and stuff. I really loved
Mm.
it in the school. And at the end of the semester, when my dad was coming for me, they called him and said, Mr. Chure, we'd like to find out if this is the same daughter you mentioned you have no expectation of. And he said, what I mean, what's going on here? Then they said, oh, look at her results. She's actually very good, and this place is very good for her. My father, for the first time, didn't believe it. He was like, what? Are you sure this is
No
my
way.
child's report? And they said, yes. Are you sure you're not mistaken? They said, no, this is her report. And the woman said something like, she is very good and we think she'll go far in life. And that was for me, my entire life
Wow.
until that day was the very first time a teacher was saying something positive about me in school, like she is good. Because it was always like she's troublesome, she's not studying,
Wow.
she's lazy, she's dumb, and all that. But this woman said she's very good. And when I heard those words,
Hmm.
I was like, this is going to continue. Everybody is going to tell me I'm good until the day I leave this world. And for me, that was the change, that like the turnaround for me. And it has never stopped. So my confidence started building up there. I came back to school, involved myself in different leadership position, extracurricular activity, volunteering with the Red Cross Society here, and doing so many things. And so quickly, I started building up my confidence level. I remember they came and said, oh, there's an internship opportunity in a four-star hotel here in Ghana, and we want a final year student to go. I wasn't a final year student. Immediately I went and I said, I will go. And they laugh and they be like, no, you're not a final year student. I said, I will go. Fortunately, they gave me the opportunity and I went, and they said they would do an interview.
Wow.
So I quickly called Evans. Evans made my first CV for me and actually met me at a station
Nice.
in the capital, took me to the place of interview. And guess what? There was no interview. They were just, they
Really?
just loved how confident I was. Like, yes, you knew there was going to be an interview, but then you prepared your CV. You took a car for 2 hours from the capital. You came here and you wanted to do your internship. Okay, start the internship. And that was how I think that whole year I was the one who got the best property to do her internship. And so that started creating for me that kind of
Yeah.
experience and exposure, and I never stopped till date.
I am so pumped right now. Like that is awesome. Holy cow. You really are good, Rosa. You are good. You are awesome. Holy cow. So, I mean, that's insane. What was that? What were you
No,
saying? Oh,
no,
you're
I
just
didn't say
giggling.
anything.
You're just giggling. Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. That story, like I can't take the smile off my face. That was, I mean, that's crazy because it's like you think about these people who have any differences, right? Like learning differences or challenges, whether it's anxiety or depression or I mean, dyslexia, you can have all those because of dyslexia, as an example, right? Like you're dumb, you're stupid, you're no good, you're not going to achieve anything. Just go and do people's hair or go sew something, right? Or let me just slap you in the wrist with this cane, or whatever, right? That can lead to depression. That can lead to anger. That can lead to a lot of bad things, right? And but I think you're such an amazing example of determination, of grit, of will, of just love, like a love for life. That it's like, hey, you know what? Like, just let me find my chance. And Evans, that guy's a superhero. What a stud. What an
True.
amazing human to be able to recognize in you, hey, Rosa's got something. And if no one else can see it, I can see it, and I'm going to help her. And then you had teachers, in the culinary school that saw that. And then, I mean, I think that's absolutely just the best example of just fight and the love for life and self-belief. So I feel like you probably always, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't know if you lacked self-belief as a kid, maybe. I mean, just like truly deep down inside you probably knew there was something special about you, right? But then you're fighting all those inner bullies, right? And those inner demons telling you you're stupid, telling you you're not smart, you're not going to achieve anything. But that's a constant battle, right? And I mean, look at where you're at now: master's degree, bachelor's degree, working at the happiest place on earth, right? Disney, right? Doing that stuff. So, I mean, holy cow. I love what you said too. Everything works together for our own good. Um, I wrote that down, and I can't even really read my writing, but I remembered it. So, but
Exciting.
that is so awesome and inspiring. So, all right. I mean, I don't even need to talk. I think we just need you to keep doing your thing. So you go through all that culinary school. Boom, you're doing awesome. I need to fly out to Ghana because I want to see if it's real. If you're really a good cook. So we might have to work something out there. And then you get this internship. And what was that internship for again? And what and where did that take you?
So this internship was like my first internship since I started the school, because it was part
Okay.
of the program that you need to have your practicals before you finish. So I did this
Okay.
internship and then went back to school. But during the internship, something happened. Um, I was very good in the kitchen, but then there was also an HR person in the hotel who, I don't know what she saw, but she gave me an opportunity to do cross training. So cross training is like, I'm from the kitchen, I went to the housekeeping department. I went to the front office department. Then
So
I
just
came to
tons of different things.
restaurants. So tons of different things. And
Mm.
so at the end, she called and said, "You're very good in the kitchen, and I want you to go back to school because you are left with 1 year to finish. Finish this program and then come back to the industry and work. I do know that you don't have a high school certificate, but if in future you decide to go to university, you could go to university as a matured student and you write the exams, you pass it, and you can go. But here is a book. If you decide to ever go to the school, read hospitality management if you like." So she
Mm.
gave me this book and it was on hospitality management. And I asked her why. She said, "When I asked you to go to the different departments, every report that came from the heads of those departments was quite positive. But the one that was very remarkable was the one from the front office and the restaurant because everybody says your interpersonal skills is super great.
Mm.
Everybody loved you. You know how to engage with the guests that come to the place, and I was getting a lot of tips." So she told me this, and I said, "Okay, that's fine." So after that, I told Evans about this conversation with the HR, and I showed him the book because I thought then I still couldn't really read and write. So I said, "This is the book she gave me." So I gave it to him, and he read it. He understood it, and then he explained it to me what it meant. So when I was 26, yeah, when I was 26, I had actually changed jobs and was working with an air cargo company, and they needed to have had me relocate to Nigeria. So he reminded me and was like, "You know what? I feel the salary they are going to give you and everything is great, Rosa, but I think it's high time you try and go to the university." And so he asked me to go sit for that entrance exams, and he actually paid for it. So he paid for it, and I went to the schools, learned for 3 months, and I sat for the mature student entrance exams. I passed. It was difficult because I was facing subjects like accounting, statistics, and all
Mm.
that I hadn't been familiar with. Um, but I kept on and I passed. So I got admission for the bachelor's degree program and I chose hospitality management. I
Mm.
decided to follow the advice because I felt like the hospitality environment is what I have experienced at least in the
Mm.
past 6 years of my life working there because I'm in the hotel environment and I at least understand. So I decided to stay on it so that it's not too difficult for me to be able to pass. And I loved it. So I kept on, went through the university. I was a very good student because the people there were people who were coming fresh from like high school and stuff. They didn't understand. I was coming with experience. So I understood most of the things that were being taught. And that's how I managed through university, finished, got a very good grade, a second class upper, and
Mm.
then came back to the industry, started working, and I went back to school again for my master's, then in Switzerland to do my master's over there. Also, very good. I actually came out as the best master student in that school.
Let's go. I'm
Yeah,
not surprised now. Holy cow.
yeah, I came out as the
Rosa for
best.
president.
I know.
Jeez.
So
That is
I got an award for it, and I couldn't believe I was the same girl a few years ago who was struggling so much. And during that time in school was when Disney also comes to Switzerland to do their recruitment to go.
mm.
Um, they were creating this new program where they needed like fresh minds, people who were very hospitality enthusiastic, to kind of help them navigate through some futuristic thinking and what could help
Yeah.
them put a lot of initiative that will help enhance their guest experience. So I
Hmm.
got accepted into that program, which I did not even apply, but it just came to me. It just came to me. by the shared grace, and then I relocated to US in Orlando, and was
Okay.
there for that experience, and then I came back home during the COVID
Mm,
time, and now
okay.
I'm back to
And now
my
you're back.
yes.
That is so awesome. So, holy cow. I mean, I know that there's probably a ton of stories within the time from, I think you said you're 26 when you took that test initially, and then through your master's experience, through, I mean, so like for you with everything that you've gone through, I mean, how was that doing your master's degree and sitting and the studying and like the being able to focus and the, I mean, there's a lot of reading that's involved. I'm
Yeah,
assuming. I don't have my
yeah,
master's, but like,
yeah.
what was that like?
It was not easy. I have to be very frank. Like, it was not easy at all, especially also studying here. I didn't go to high school. You know, when you go to high school prepare your mind with
Yeah.
certain foundation. So since I skipped that aspect of my life,
Yeah, I
and
forget you didn't go to high school.
yes,
Right.
and went straight to do my bachelor's. Now it was like, so the foundation was not that strong. Now
Yeah.
also, back here looking at the education level and the quality of education in my country, there are certain things you can do away with, and then you just go away. You know, teachers set questions and they ask you to provide um answers, which was very difficult for me because I am somebody who is like, I think and then I come up with solutions. That's how my mind
Mm.
works. But they were very like straightforward, like fill in the gaps, write this, provide this very specific answers. And so I was used to that. And so when I went to Switzerland and now they shifted us to more of use your critical thinking to analyze stuff and all that, it was also a bit new for me. But then
Hmm.
I catched up very early because that is something that I enjoy. If you ask me one question, I'll give you like 10 answers.
Mm.
So it was like, okay, now I loved it. But then the amount of reading, doing a Master of Science program versus a Master of Arts program was crazy because Master of Science is more of research and stuff. And that was what I was doing. So, and I hated it because my learning span is like 45 minutes. That's the amount I can read, and I need to
Yeah.
go and write. And so it was tough, but we went through it. Sleepless nights, but I
Yeah.
meant that I really wanted to get this done, and so I managed, and
You just did
we
it.
talked
It
through.
was
Yeah.
something you wanted bad enough,
Mhm.
so you just went and got it.
Yep. Yep.
That is
Yep.
awesome. So Master of Science versus Master of Arts, you take arts 10
I
times out of 10?
I took Master of Science instead.
Okay.
Master of Arts is more relaxing.
Mhm.
I would say it's more like a practical base and all that. But I did, if it's today, I would have gone for Master of Arts.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
before, my mind was like, I'm going to do my PhD
Ah.
after my master's. So I
Yeah.
really want something that will get me prepared onto a PhD level.
Okay.
And that's why I selected the master's. But after doing my master's, I was like, no.
No way. So is that no longer in the stars? The PhD, is that, or is that going to be something you might do down the road?
People are pushing me. Everybody think because sometimes in Ghana here, you take your bio for something, and by the time you come, they put in doctor to my name, and I'm like, I'm not a doctor, and they will say, well, go and get a doctor degree. Yeah, but a
That's
lot of
awesome.
people I think that I could do a PhD, but I know that it's hard work
Yeah.
and it's not a joke. So I really don't want to worry myself, but it's not a no. Maybe one day I
Hmm.
will wake up and I'll just enter a PhD program. I don't know for now.
Yeah, I mean, that won't be surprising. And you'll obviously crush it. So
Yeah.
holy cow. There's so many like little things here. There's so many little things. So I don't even know. This is phenomenal. So Rosa, with with what you've been able to do, at Disney and in hospitality, how have you seen dyslexia? Like, is that like what aspects of dyslexia do you think really have helped you be the successful person that you are today?
Well, I now I could tell you, but before I really didn't know dyslexia was helping me anyway because I wasn't aware of it. So when I got to know about dyslexia and I got assessed for it, it took me a long time to actually accept it because the word was very huge. Dyslexia. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay. By the time I go back to my country and tell them I'm dyslexic, people are going to be like, is she having some disease or something?
Yeah.
Which is true in our work. Like a lot of parents here feels like dyslexia is an illness. So
Yeah.
sometimes they want to take their children to a prayer camp to pray for them so that God will heal them and all that. This is how this. So that's the reason why I take
Mm.
a lot of joy in the work we do,
Yeah.
because it help puts people in mind. But yes, I was one of the people who thought like dyslexia was either an illness or something until I started digging deep into what dyslexia is
Mm.
and really reading about some of the strengths they were talking about. I'm like, no, I have the strength.
Mm-hmm.
Critical thinking. I think a lot. Okay, my mind, I can start maybe if you give me some capital. I have so many ideas I think about in a day. I can start so many businesses for people to take over and run it. So I was like, okay, so this is actually strength. So
Mm.
if it's actually the strength, then why don't we or me find a way to get people to help me with what I'm not good at? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't like writing reports. It's
Mm-hmm.
so hard for me. So when I got to Disney, one thing I told them was I'm dyslexic. I'm not the person to call me for writing reports, but then I'm the person to call me to think about what can we do next? What can we do
Mm.
better? So then I will be able to utilize my ability of thinking to come up with some incredible ideas that we can all work around it. And as a company, as Disney, they understood it. And so they never bothered me with things like
That's
writing
cool.
reports. I don't think I ever submitted any reports. So I was put into a team that the team are able to do it. And what I do is just try to get my head in action and really come up with initiative. So it has really helped me.
Hmm.
Once also getting to know about the strength that we possess is me being able to utilize it very well in the work I do. So now what do I do? Okay, if I'm dyslexic, then I know that as an adult with dyslexia who never got intervention, it is okay for me to use Glamoury in my
Mm-hmm.
emails and all that. I don't have to first I felt very uncomfortable because I feel like, oh, it was like cheating,
Yeah.
to use
Yeah.
things like that. And now so many AI tool that has come. Oh my goodness, fantastic. Um
So good.
so
That
good.
chat GPT thing, it scares
Yes.
me, but I'm like, it makes it a lot
it,
better.
ma- it makes it a lot better because
Yeah.
I tell people that listen, I am against kids being introduced with like technologies at a very early age because I feel like for me, if the right
Mm.
learning instructions was applied when I was very young, I would have been very good in reading and writing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like every child should be given the opportunity to match up with learning instructions that they are good at. And then if they happen not to get it, and they are growing up in life, then you start introducing them some of these technologies. But when immediately, let's say a child who is 6 or a child who is 8, you start giving them like pen that will read for them, then I feel like you're already trying not to see what they can do on their own by you being
Mm.
putting in the right instruction learning for them.
Yeah.
But for us, you and I, we are grown already. What do we need to go and do with interventions and stuff? So then we can utilize some of these great assistive technologies to help us as well. So high school students could use it in up to some extent. But I know, if you use ChatGPT, that if you don't put in the right creative prompt, ChatGPT is not going to give you the output you want.
Yep.
Yes, so this is the creativeness that we want to create in our dyslexic young folks, so that they are able to utilize their skills and their thinking abilities very, very well. Which is me, that is one of the strengths that I have.
Yeah. No, I love that. So yeah, so basically let's not damper the kids early on, right? Let's give them let's let them be raw and real and see what they're good at, see what takes, what doesn't. And then as they get older, right, introducing certain
Yes,
methodologies or tools,
yes,
technologies to support them, not to do it for them, but to support them or
support
to
them. Yeah,
to help.
because we have four types of learners. I started excelling at the culinary school because I'm a kinesthetic learner. I
Mm,
learn by doing, I learn by seeing, I learn by seeing pictures and stuff. And so if you put me in a class that is just oral and writing, you lose me, because that is not how I learn. We have
mhm.
people that learn just by pictorial pictures only. And so why don't you apply all the four type of learning methods? That is why we emphasize on the multi-sensory learning instruction. Why don't
Yeah,
you apply that, so that you know what will be good for each learner in the classroom? It's hard work, but we
yeah,
got to do these things, because if not, then we will be losing them. If you teach them all this and they still don't get it, that is different. But
hmm,
not doing it, it's wrong. Like in my case, I never had instruction till date as
yeah,
I'm talking with you. So for me, it is okay for me to start using those things to
yeah.
support me in the work that I do.
So can you go just through it with the audience and for myself, the four things? Can you run through those four learning techniques or the four styles as you were mentioning?
Yes. So the first styles we have, just a moment with you and I could put. So
Hmm.
we have oral learners, and then we
Yep.
also have the kinesthetic learners, and then we also have those who just listen and writing. The listening and writing. I'm trying to get the right word for you, so that we can have all of them very well. Okay.
Yeah, no worries. Kinesthetic, like doing, like hands on. Is that what that
We
is?
have hands-on practicals. Okay. So we have visual learners. So
Hmm.
visual is pictures. So if, for example, I'm trying to find something here. So for example, you saying the word book, a book,
Hmm.
and then you actually showing the person like this is a book, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Versus a book. Oh, book, book.
Hmm.
Okay, book. That's book. But for a visual learner, that's just a word.
Yeah.
What is a book?
Hmm.
So then you show them that. Okay. Then the
Gotcha. Okay.
auditory one is what I was saying, just you talking and then they are listening, and
Hmm.
everything is going very well. Reading and writing. So you can stand in front of the board and you're reading and they are writing, they will get it right away. And then, of course, the kinesthetic learner combines both the visual, the writing, the doing, and everything together.
Hmm. Gotcha. Okay. No, that's really good. Thank you for sharing that. I wrote it down. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, no, that's great. So I would love to spend just kind of the last little bit and understand dyslexia in Africa. Excuse me, dyslexia and what Rosa's doing right now in Africa to be able to spread awareness, because I know that that's a huge initiative for you. Um, and really kind of like what stages is it in? And I mean that by saying like my experience with what I've been doing the last little bit is I feel like in the US where there's people that talk about it, but there's not a ton. There's not as much as I thought there would be. I feel like in the UK, there's a lot more. Like, I feel like it's a lot more accepted. There's a lot more kind of personas out there that talk about it, and it's more of a just kind of a normal thing. Comparing that to other things, right? It's definitely not. But like as far as dyslexia goes and dyslexia awareness, and I was chatting with somebody the other day out of Australia, and same thing. This guy was saying, yeah, it's we're trying to get to the stage where like the UK is, and their acceptance and their awareness around dyslexia. So, and I just thought that was interesting. I just thought, I mean, I'm learning so much about it over the last over the last little while. So, but on your end, I mean, when did you really start doing what you're doing on the dyslexia side? When was it like? Was it while you're at Disney? What happened where it just hit you like, hey, I need to build awareness for my people in Africa? And where was dyslexia and the awareness and like the standing of dyslexia when you first started compared to now?
Thank you. So, you're right with the UK though; they are doing very well on that.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually have an adult dyslexic who is from Ghana, and went there at a very young age. And right when she went to school, they assessed her, started giving her the support, and she's like right now a global icon. So the UK is doing very, very good on that aspect.
Interesting.
For me, uh, it was 2019 when I found out to be dyslexic. Was about 6 years now.
Okay.
And I came back home and asked my dad, because my dad, unfortunately or fortunately, is an educationist. He was in education for like 45 years. He was actually a principal of a high school. Um,
Okay.
so I came straight home and I asked my dad,
I'm
you know,
sorry. It's just like he's the principal of a high school, and his firstborn, who's supposed to be the example to the other four kids, can't even read by the time she's 17. He's like, what is going on?
yeah. Well, I came to him
Oh,
and I asked him, Dad, do you know about dyslexia? And he said, dyslexia. So it's a learning disability. And he's like, oh, long time ago, there was a Catholic priest from Europe who came and said something about dyslexia, but that was it. Now mentioning it, he remembered the word. He said that.
wow.
And I said, okay,
Whoa.
interesting. So then,
And he's the
how
principal of a high school.
you that don't know about dyslexia? So what I
Yeah.
did was I started going to the Ministry of Education and
Mm-hmm.
the Ghana Education Service over here. So I will go there and just start like a form of my own research, asking questions. Do you know about dyslexia? And if I asked about 10 people on that day, the probability I'll get zero is high.
Yeah.
And these are people working in education. Then I went
Wow.
back into starting to go to high schools and the junior high schools here, and I would ask. And I found even principals who said it was their first time hearing the word dyslexia. Wow, I was shocked. In
Yeah.
this present age, I'm like, whoa, what's happening? But when I finished, I didn't do anything with it. I just took the survey and put it somewhere and went about my life. But in 2019, there was an organization that gave me a training opportunity in Maine, Rockland, Maine. There's a
Mm-hmm.
place called Hurricane Island in the state of Maine. So this training was on to train on sustainable development goals, and I was more looking into environmental projects. So that's what
Mm.
I applied for to get accepted into the program. And it was one beautiful morning. We were on this Hurricane Island. It was cold. I was out and just staring at the water over there, and something just kind of struck me like, why not you doing something about dyslexia, and you are going to do a project on environmental sustainability? And so immediately I was like, how? Why is this kind of,
Hmm.
it was like having something to speak with me. So
Yeah.
immediately when the class started, I went straight to the organizers and I asked, is it possible I could change my project? And they asked why. And I said, listen, I'm dyslexic. And I know that there is very little awareness about dyslexia in my country. And also, I travel on the continent and I speak to people, and it's almost the same everywhere. And so, me this morning, I just have deep feeling in me that my project needs to change to a dyslexia project. And they were so kind and happy, and they were like, sure, let's do it. Now, when I said that, my mind went blank. It was like, okay, dyslexia, but I don't know what to do, because we need to, whatever project you need to do, you need to start like doing your blueprints for the project. And so I was staring at this big paper that was given to me, and I couldn't put anything on it. And I started
Huh.
crying. So there was a girl from Brazil, Talita, who just came and tapped me at my back and said, listen, what do you want to do? So she took this colorful pens in my hands, and I'm like, I'm going to do Africa Dyslexia something something, and I want to raise awareness and advocacy. And as I said, she used her artistic way and started writing on my paper. And within like 15 minutes, we almost came out with a plan of the
No
Africa
way.
Dyslexia Organization.
That's so awesome. Oh my goodness. I got tingles from that.
Yeah,
That- and that was in 2019,
this was
you said, right?
September, yes, September 2019. So after the
Okay.
program, I traveled to Toronto to visit my friend Chidiogo in Toronto. And I said, Chidiogo, this is what I'm going to do. So I showed her the stuff and said, oh, this is good. So what's the way forward? And I said, the way forward is for me to write an article about what every parent should know about dyslexia.
Hmm.
And she said, okay, so she's a writer. She said, can you just go and draft something and let me take a look at it? So I wrote it, my story, using my story to narrate everything I am telling you. And I have that article, I'll send it to you.
I would love that, please.
And I narrated it. And so Chidiogo took it and edited it. And as soon as I got back to Ghana, I got some media houses and they published that article around.
Wow.
I tell you, I still, since 2019 to date, I still receive emails concerning the article. Anytime somebody read it, they will email, and I speak to them, they will email me. And that was
No
where
way.
set the tone for me to start the Africa Dyslexia Organization in June of 2020, in the peak of
Okay.
the pandemic.
Wow. That is, you are an amazing woman. So June of 2020, it's pandemic, and you're like, let's just do this thing. So what do you do with your company? What are like the day in, day out type of projects that you're doing? Do you have like a physical location where people are coming in and are there like reading remediation happening, or is it more awareness? Like what is that like for the business?
So I have different goals for the next few years. When
Okay.
we started the organization, I realized that if I come out right away and I said I'm opening a center up, bring your child for reading remediation, people will be like, what are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
So the first point was to raise awareness, advocacy, and then start giving trainings to teachers. I'm not an expert, I don't do trainings myself. So what we
Mm-hmm.
did was we did an extensive media campaign. I mean, the COVID happened, but then we can sit on Zoom and I'll be talking via television or radio, and people will be listening in and calling in, writing article and publishing it. So this was the awareness, and we did quite a massive one. Immediately, I approached the Ministry of Education. I said, I've read your inclusive education policy, and you want to achieve this policy by 2030 to get to the Sustainable Development Goal 4, but I don't see a highlight on learning disability. You have it there, but I can't really tell what you're doing for these people versus what you're doing for people who have physical disability. And so something needs to be done. And you know what happened? It was the right time I went in because that was the time they were thinking of reviewing the inclusive education policy. And so they were like, you know what? Come and be part of the technical working group that will review it so that you make your voice heard when it comes to the learning difference area. Of course, the actual word is learning disability because that's how the UN classified it. And so I was part of this team, and even this year we have met, we're still reviewing it to make sure every component and whatever supports they need to highlight to be able to give resources to learners with challenges are given. And so that's what we've been doing. We've also heavily invested on virtual trainings. So I got, just like you and I have connected, I got connected with a lot of people in the community. And I say one of the lovely place I have felt is the dyslexia community, because everybody is so welcoming. And people from Canada, the US, Nigeria, UK, everybody just wanted to support me. And so we do like a series of training for teachers over here, and everybody around every part of Africa is connecting. Yesterday we had a webinar with an Gillingham associates in US, and we had people from Namibia, Mozambique, Kenya, and Ghana joining. So this is how we bring resources and knowledge to the teachers over here, whilst also helping mothers to kind of navigate through their new discovery of, oh, I did assessment for my child and he's dyslexic and all that. Another thing we're doing is we're building an expert like a expert community, so people who do assessment, people who do the reading interventions and all that. So when you have assessment done, we can show you that go to this person, they do the interventions for you. But as for Africa Dyslexia Organization, we don't do assessment, we don't do reading intervention. Our sole aim is to raise awareness, advocacy, and train teachers. And then another thing we just about launching is research. We realize there is a lot of research on dyslexia when it comes to global. But then the moment you narrow it down to data on Africa, you don't have data. So what we are positioning ourselves to be as an organization is your go-to organization when you're looking for resources when it comes to dyslexia on the continent. And that's what we are investing in. We also want to be present in every African country, but we don't have money because the organization is heavily supported by the work that I do in the private consulting I do. But eventually we will still go up. But what we are launching this year is also the Dyslexia Advocates Program. And so this program is going to enable 2 people from each African country, which is the 54 African countries, to be part of this program. It's going to be a 6-week program that is going to teach them about the basics of what dyslexia is, so that these people can be our mouthpiece in the countries that we can't physically go at this moment. So these are some of the strategies that we are using on the ground here. We have a couple of trainings that are coming up this year. We are bringing in somebody from San Francisco who is our director for training for our organization. She's going to be doing a physical training on dyslexia and dyscalculia. We have virtual ones coming. We have mentorship for teachers as well coming up. So these are kind of a brief overview of the activities that we are involved as the Africa Dyslexia Organization.
Holy cow. Who are you? Oh my goodness, Rosa. Man, so real quick, the dyslexic advocate program, those two people, they're going to be they're going to be trained for a handful of weeks, like you said. Is it more around training around the awareness of like how to spot people with dyslexia or kids with dyslexia? That's not going to be reading remediation, right? That they're doing. They're going
No.
to be educated on how to spot that, and then they're going to go out to their countries, two for each country in Africa, spreading the awareness and helping schools, helping parents, all that stuff.
Yes, it's just for them to know about the history of dyslexia, what dyslexia is. How do you
Mm-hmm.
spot some a child who possibly may be dyslexic? The goal for us and it's a virtual program actually. So the goal for us is after the 6 weeks, you know what dyslexia is. You're not an expert, but you're able to talk about dyslexia because
Mm.
first we want the message to be out, we want the awareness to be out, so that if there are children they are caning like the way they were beating me up in school, they stop. We want these advocates to be people that can go and sit on television and speak about dyslexia just like I am speaking with you. We
Yeah,
want
yeah.
also this advocate to be people in these countries that, for example, we are about launching a research to collect data on what is happening in various countries. Because we have these two people, they are able to go into the ministries of educations in those countries to get us information and bring it together without we traveling there. So they will
Mm-hmm.
become like a member or a family of the community advocating on dyslexia until gradually we go into the countries physically.
Gotcha. That is so awesome. I love that. I absolutely love that, and I love what you're doing with like the data. Data is king, right? Like it's so important to have data, especially like regionalized data, right? Because you're able to go to different schools or universities and say, "Hey, listen, did you know that dyslexia does XYZ and some of the best students have this?" Because I heard something once, MIT, out here in the States, that like over 50% of students at MIT are dyslexic.
Yeah.
Um, and there's a gentleman out here in, I think, Boston. His name is Dean. It starts with an S, his last name, but
Dean Bragoye.
yeah, maybe yeah, the
Dean
noticeability.
Dean is our partner, one of our favorite partner.
Really?
Yeah, Africa.
Wow.
Dean was actually he came to visit me here in Ghana last year, December. We had a blast. We had the first ever dyslexia education stakeholders forum that brought together owners of schools, principals of
Okay.
schools, the minister of education, brought everything together. And Dean was the keynote speaker for the program in this last year.
Wow. Yeah, Dean. So when I started this 5 years ago, when I was like, I need to spread awareness. I need to figure this whole thing out. I actually met Dean in Utah. He was doing a seminar
Wow.
at a high school, and I just showed up and I went, and then I also like a little I was trying to get a job with him. So I put a PowerPoint together. I put a whole presentation together of what I could do because I'm a sales guy and how I can spread the awareness of what noticeability is doing. And anyway, I got shut down, but not by Dean, by somebody else. But it's all good. That is so unbelievable. I mean, absolutely crazy. So I love it. I know we're running out of time here, Rosa. You you have been absolutely phenomenal. I want to sit down and just chat more with you and just keep learning because you are such a light to this world, and I truly appreciate you. Anything else that you want to say? Any thoughts, advice to the young girl that's listening? That's gotten the cane from a teacher or a parent, of like, hey, stick in there. What I mean, any thoughts or advice that you want to give?
For me, I would just tell a parent who your child is dyslexic or not able to learn very well in school not to give up. For me, I feel the last thing you want to do as a parent is to adapt to whatever difficulty the child is going through. what I mean is, watch the words you say to your children.
Mm.
Watch those words. We just need love. We need your support. We need your encouragement. I'm not saying you should spoil your child, but what I'm saying is, don't be the person that would say, "Are you stupid? Are you dumb? Why are you not getting this?" It should be, you should be the last person to do that. What you do need to do is to be an advocate for your child. Be your child mouthpiece and go to those schools and say, "I want to make sure that you are putting my child on the right learning path. Please don't shy away. Dyslexia is not a disease. I mean, I'm sure you would love if your child is Richard Branson or your child is Orlando Bloom and all that. And it's okay. Not every dyslexic is going to be Richard Branson. Every dyslexic have their own special ability.
Yeah.
We are just good as anybody else. So please refrain from saying unpalatable words to your child. And for a child, if you are dyslexic or somebody who is dyslexic, that you feel like, hey, you're stupid and you're dumb, please get that out of your own mind. You are not. As I'm telling you, I still can't spell the word photosynthesis. I still can't spell the word pyramid. I will struggle to spell them. There's so many words. I write my own handwriting and I still can't read what I've written.
Same. I can't read any of this stuff that I just wrote down.
Yes,
Oh.
and it's okay. It's hard. It's hard. Like, I mean, you see something you really love, you want to apply for it, and I think that's why probably Africa Dyslexia Organization haven't received a grant, is because I would see it and I'm like, what do I put on the paper to write this grant and get? So that, what that means is, I need to go and look for somebody who is very good at doing this. Pay the person for the person to get the job done for me. So just find the mechanism that works for you so that you go with it. Don't feel
Mm.
alone. We are a very huge community online. Try get online, get connected to some of us, and don't feel alone. But believe in yourself and keep working towards your goal. One for me that I feel like has stayed with me is honesty. I'm very honest in my dealings, and it has carried me a long way. I also avail myself to services, and so it has given me a lot of opportunity to learn from people and learn some skills that I would not get it from the classroom, or I didn't get it from the classroom. So honesty should be your number one, and if you stay true to yourself and you work towards your goals, I think you will never fail in life. I'm not even at 30% of what I want to become in life, and I'm working towards it. So you are not alone.
Wow. Well, Rosalin Kyere Nartey, you are good. You are a phenomenal woman. And man, I appreciate you. I'm so excited to continue to follow you and see everything that you're doing there in Ghana and all of Africa. And you definitely are touching the hearts of many, many people. Your story is so inspiring. You truly are, like, I mean, you're a phenomenal human being. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. And man, I hope I can have you on again down the road as well. Would love to hear some updates.
I'm so available, and I will give you updates as to how the organization is going. There's so many plans I have in the pipeline and what I want this organization to be. So I am also proud of you for
Oh, thank you.
championing this cause. And as I was telling you before, you don't know what it's going to do to somebody. And I go with this saying, if all this work that I am doing today changes only one person's life, I have achieved my goal.
Mm,
Not
mm,
looking at the hundreds, I'm not looking at the millions, just one person. But I definitely know it's also going to be more than one person. And so what
yeah.
you are doing is a great start, and I know that it's going to be rewarding to you, and it's going to be rewarding to many people out there.
Well, thank you, Rosa. I appreciate that. Very kind words. You've been awesome. Thanks again for jumping on, and I'll let you go and conquer the world.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All
Okay,
right.
well, hey, it's done now. I'll press stop here, but and I'll edit that. You were awesome. Holy cow. Like I'm blown away. You need to be all over the TV in every country in the world. And
Oh, thank
oh my
you.
gosh. Yeah,
Thank you.
I love that. I love
Thank
that
you.
so much. You seriously are so amazing. So I'm excited to keep following you and watching, and I'm gonna be praying for you and everything that you're doing, because this is big. This is cool. I learned a ton just in this last hour and 20 minutes from you. So
Oh,
thank you so
wow.
much.
I've
Seriously.
been speaking for like an hour and 20 minutes. I didn't
I
even.
know. We could go forever. We could keep going. Like I have so many more like little questions of like, I mean, you're just doing so much. I am insanely impressed with the African Dyslexic Organization, what you're doing. It's absolutely amazing.
Thank
You're
you.
so awesome. You're so awesome. I'm so excited.
Thank you so
It's
much.
crazy to see what you've done. Like like your dad as a principal didn't even know what it was.
No,
Like that's crazy. And now you're blowing it up in a good way.
thank
So
you.
cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I love it. Well, you're such a sweetheart. I appreciate you jumping on. I'll let you know when I'm going to launch this episode. Um and yeah, I mean any I'm always up for advice too on how to make this podcast better, what could have helped you prepare better, all of the things. Like I
I
am
think
so open to anything.
when I think about anything, I'll let you know. But I think for now, it is great. Is it going to be a video or audio podcast?
So I want to do both a video and an audio.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna do like put it on podcast channels and then YouTube as well, stuff like that. So that's kind of with the business. It's three parts. It's the podcast first, because I have my job. I work in sales and so that takes up the majority of my time, right? So I'm doing this like early morning, late night. So the podcast. And then speaking. So I was speaking at a few schools before, right when COVID hit, and then it kind of shut down and schools shut down. But I love that, like public speaking around dyslexia and also like mental fitness. I do a lot of jujitsu and a lot of like hard, I like to do a lot of things. And so really kind of hoping to drive inspiration around mental fitness, being like loving yourself, being strong, self-belief, and then maybe one-on-one coaching down the road as well. But there's a lot that I don't know though about dyslexia. Like I'm learning so much.
Yeah, it will keep unfolding. Like I'm surprised when I talk about dyslexia and the things I know about it today. I'm like, woo!
I'm so good.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we are all in the learning journey, and anyhow we can support each other, I am here.
Love that. Well, thank you so much, Rosa. I'm so happy to stay in touch with you and be friends. I want to get out there. I want to do what Dean did and come out and meet you.
Okay. All right.
Okay.